middle of page Memches. It appears to be smack in the middle. The line starts veod yoter memato mizeh. What we are saying here now, in principle, that ha'ora can come down and be mislabesh in levushim, in garments of the lower of world, so to speak, other than Elokus. But when it is mislabesh in levushim, it actually transforms. It becomes captured by these levushim, as we explained over these days. And the oil is almost lost. Whereas an oil atzmi, a pnimi, Torah is from etzem oil. So Torah also can come down. It's also mislabesh in levushim of the world, and furthermore, truly in the world. In other words, just as the world facilitates the non-truth, the lies, Torah deals with lies. Tanishal sheker. However, when Torah is established in the levushim of the world, and even Tanishal sheker, the effect of that islapshus is not that Torah is drawn into it. The contrary, the Torah is mevarer the sheker, and ultimately it brings into the sheker the oil leki. It's mevarer, like we discussed, meaning from psak din and Torah and so forth, even on the circumstance of the time of sheker. And then he explained that when the psak din is reached in this arena over financial shekel have to be dealt with, and we use all different kinds of methods to come to a conclusion that this is what the psak din should be, even though the methods seem to be simply logical and therefore it is just the result of a logical process. The truth is that this reveals a Torah truth. Now this is the way it should be. Just want to mention an interesting thing in this regard, that in fact there are instances where the Torah does not adjudicate. When there is a dispute between two people, and Torah does not adjudicate who it belongs to, Torah says, Kol the alim gover. In effect, it means let them fight it out. Although it's not let them fight out with fist, let them fight it out, let them argue it out between themselves. Which means, and there the Torah does not even go down to the adjudicate. Sort of as a statement, they are both right, and therefore they have to come to some kind of an agreement between them. Okay, so at the end of the line begins Eid Yoser, Lamato Mizeh. The Torah goes down into Tamadinas Achtenis Me'oid, B'Tainashel Sheker, and Be'oid Yoser Lamato Mizeh, and even lower below that. And everywhere that the Torah descended, that descent and that involvement of Torah in this lower presence, it affects a birur. A birur means it picks out the kedusha element, the toiv, and lets the ra fall down. He draws the toiv out of the ra. Rebbi Yehudah, as an example, the Gemara says, Rebbi Yehudah, Kula Tenuye B'Nizikin Hava. All his learning was focused on Nizikin, the Seder Nizikin. Seder Nizikin is essentially the civil disputes, like buying and selling and lost and found and so forth, or damages. His learning was all in Nizikin. What's the need for Nizikin? There is seemingly no kedusha in it. This is all world based. The answer is bigdei levare birurim. That the aim over there was bigdei levare birurim, in order to bring out the birurim, the toiv out of the ra, kinoida. Gemara says that we should not teach Torah in some arenas, because from this they can learn how to formulate false statements, and this falsifies their whole thinking process, diverts it. Rebbi Yehudah called to Nuye was Benizikin. Benizikin means identifying all the various convoluted tiness that may come up, and in this, in order levare birurim, in order to bring out the birurim, to draw the toiv out of the ra. Now, as we said the other day, that the psak din that comes out, regardless of the fact that it goes through convoluted pathways, logic, it's a psak din of Torah. And it is an absolute truth, so to speak. There's a godly presence in that psak din. And in this regard, I have to mention something that I mentioned before, that possession, worldly possession, Pi Torah, is a godly decree. Possession is not a circumstantial thing. Possession is something which God has bestowed upon human beings. Like it says, captured the earth. We've spoken about this many times on the different angles. And if you look in halacha, to what extent the halacha is careful not to infringe on the pruta wrongly on somebody's possession. Sometimes the evidence is there's evidence, and the evidence is not complete, but we say it's sufficient for Isa veheter. It's sufficient to allow the woman to get married, but it's not sufficient to adjudicate the possession, the value, where the property goes. You would think property big deal. Isa veheter is getting married is an extremely serious thing. Not so. Not that it's less serious, but there is a so to speak a godly presence that states this is his and this is his. That whole phenomenon of possession, ownership, is due to the fact that there is a melech in the world. Otherwise, it could not be a possession. And we can translate it even on a most simple level, that this will be very, very revealing and very valuable, even in the Hitzonistic world. In the Chassidus world, what protects your property? It is the government and the registry in City Hall. This is what protects your property. The ownership of property is possible only, in truth, even in, so to speak, in the secular world, in the world of the Chetzeni, possible only if there's a government. Raising it up to Kedusha, to Torah, the whole principle of ownership is only because there's a Melech.
Is it correct to think all really belongs to him, but he grants
Yes.
use, like render to the king what is his when we give tzedakah? So, but
Yes,
in the local,
yes. That
okay.
everybody gets it from him, but since you got it from him, it's yours.
Right.
Nobody can infringe on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, continue on this. The line begins Tnuya ben Zikim. Dechein hu be'ir ha'Torah. This is the truth as it is in Oyer HaTorah, in the light of Torah. I'll go back to these two words in a moment. Sheyachel leirei b'chol inyan. This is a light that is capable to descend in every inyan, in any inyan. Gam b'inyan matachtein b'yoser, even in the lowest inyanim, ve'eino nivkav chas v'sholom, and it's not blemished chas v'sholom. It does not acquire any kind of impurity, any kind of confusion, admixture of impurity. Adarabba, to the contrary, it affects a birur everywhere, rather than being perverted by the impurity of the place where it came down to. I said I want to come on to these words, Ba'oyer HaTorah. Oyer is an extremely common word in Chassidus. Everything is referred to as Oyer. Oyer HaSeichel, Oyer HaTorah, Oyer HaNefesh, Oyer of Midos. We speak about oil all the time. And the principle of oil, even in our physical experience, we say there is light. The difference between touch and sight, between touch being a verified an entity by touch and by its tangibility, or verified an entity by its sight, is that tangibility and touch is something that is being superimposed, is being forced upon you. It does not state that this is the truth. It states that this is the way it is. Just mean touch. You come across a table in the middle of the room. Does that mean that the table belongs there? No, it means that the table is there and it blocks your walk. Sight, light, presents shines only on the truth. Using this example of a table in the middle of the room, if by sight you recognize, you see that the table is out of place, you recognize it because it's out of place in the total setting of the room, in the reality. Not that it blocks you walking, which is an extremely subjective thing. There's no truth to it, it's just that it blocks you walking and you don't like it. In sight, if you identify things that is in this array, you identify it in this array, and this should be here and this should be here. In other words, sight relates and reveals an inherent truth. This is why there is such thing as sight in the first place. I've mentioned many times, if you think of the fact that we can know the truth of an object, the presence of an object without doubt, by sight, without ever coming in contact with it, tells you that this object is a true presence. And a truth is there automatically. It speaks for itself. It doesn't need to be experienced and proven. And this is the difference between the birur of Torah and lahadul, which say there is the court system in America. There's also mavara. People come with a dispute, and the judge adjudicates whatever it is. This is not adjudicating with light. It's adjudicating by decree, by force. Torah adjudicates with oir haTorah, and the principle of oir, as we said, it illuminates. And where does it get the ability to illuminate? The light comes from the very source of all existence. Light comes from the godly presence in the world. And the light of Torah is that Torah says, if you want a true presence, if you want a godly presence, this is where it is. It's called oir haTorah. שיוכל לילד בכל עניונים. Haynu, and that is the fact that the Torah can descend everywhere and be mevarech, shed light on it, and not has a soul to be nivgam, to be damaged by it. Lefi shehu be'etzem, it is because that it is this oir haTorah is be'etzem, in essence, bechines oir pnimi v'yatzmi. It's a bechina of oir pnimi v'yatzmi. This is a recurring reference, recurring this description. Oir pnimi means that this oir is true on an internal basis, not only on an external basis. And therefore it is v'yatzmi. Atzmi means it is an oil that is true in and of itself, not because circumstances substantiate it. Alkei, and therefore, gam kishemislabesh es bilvushim deis hadas, even when the Torah becomes contained in the garments of Eitz Hadas. Eitz Hadas means that certain elements, you have arguments, and the arguments are taken at the level of Das and level of Mitzias. How can you say this is contradictory to this, and contradictory to this can be proven this way, this can be proven this way? All the Indian from Eitz Hadas on the tangible level. Even if it's mislabesh and Eitz Hadas, einoi bebchinas islapshus utfiso mamash. It is not affected in the hislapshus. It's not a hislapshus utfiso mamash of being grasped by the Eitz Hadas behalabushim, in the garments. As we said, all the arguments in Torah, that you prove in sort of Nigoi and so forth, the arguments are only path shiners. Shows you direction. But what is actually the oil that goes through it is an oil atzmi. It shows where the truth is, not what you must follow, otherwise you'd stumble. For example, again, in Torah there is a similar principle as we have in the secular courts, the principle of possession. If someone holds on in his teufel something, tfisa, that is the greatest substantiator that this is his. He holds it. In the secular court, lahabdil, there is also that principle. Possession is 90% of the law, whatever it is. There's a principal difference between these two. In the secular court, possession is simply that the court has no right to go in and take it from him. It is not a statement that this is the truth, this is the way it is. It's a statement that we can't take it away from him. You don't get involved, essentially. In Torah, the union that is he holding and actually makes it his. As we said, because the union of ownership in Torah is a true phenomenon. And therefore, when he holds it, this is allowing the phenomenon of ownership to be manifest. So this holding is like a phenomenon of ownership. There's an interesting aspect of this. If a Rav has to paskin, there's a dispute between two people, and the Rav paskins, this belongs to this one, this belongs to this one. And he made a mistake. There are certain times when the halacha can revert back. Certain times it cannot revert back. Certain times when the Rav has to pay for damages. Particularly if he actually took it by hand from this one and gave it to this one, then he has to pay. Whereas in that case, he actually violated, so to speak, the truth of ownership. without authority. This is a Torah concept. So that even when it is lavish in the pushim, in the garments of Ezadas, garments of Ezadas means that essentially you're in the dark and you don't know where the truth is, and you have to figure it out by touch, so to speak, by logic. The Torah remains Ezachaim, and essentially what the Torah brings to this das is the Oira Chaim rather than the Oira Das. It is not that it's forced, but this is the Oira Leki that says this is the way. This is actually the Vara, this is the truth. And this may sound a little bit odd. I just want to add one principle. And the principle is that in fact all ownership is by the godly decree. Like we said before. Therefore, if by godly decree, by Torah it comes out that this belongs to this, means that godly decree belongs to it comes out, it belongs to his. Therefore, it is a true ownership. This becomes his by godly decree, not by circumstance. This is in HaTorah. In other words, when a Rav paskins and says this belongs to you, he's not saying this belongs to you because of this circumstance. This belongs to you that by godly decree it belongs to you.
The circumstances support the ruling, but once the ruling is passed, it's as if a decree has been made.
Right. Circumstances allow you to find the ruling. Where is the godly decree? But then the ruling is in the godly decree. And it has phenomenal ramifications. Lately in the Rambam, any ruling in a financial arena can ultimately lead to very serious consequences. The person has money that does not really belong to him, and it's Makadosh a woman. Okay, this is it for this morning. Have a good day, and we'll meet tonight in Mitzvah Hashem. I just want to mention, the Thursday night class is both sparse and is very much off station, off time. I'd like to know whether we can correct that, make an effort to be on time. It's a very essential ingredient in success.